Tradition.
Tradition is something that I've received from my parents and that they've received from their parents, and I have that responsibility to carry it on through my children and them through their children.
For me, it's a business that my grandfather started, and I would like to carry on that tradition.
And it's traditions that you can't put it in a book. It's only up here and in here.
Feng Shui is an ancient Chinese philosophy. It literally means wind and water. In a deeper sense, it's about man living in harmony with nature.
Which is an antithesis of the Western philosophy where nature can be shaped, nature can be harnessed, nature can change. To the Chinese, it means science, it means philosophy, it means balancing oneself with the energy, the forces of the universe. We look at it in China as being not only a practice, but a very, very deep religious and in a way a social practice, because everything that the geomancer or the feng shui lo or the practitioner of the feng shui does, as he determines what is to be done, all of these things benefit, supposedly, people in their lives. Prosperity, bringing in more blessings, having more children, having a better job, being blessed with good health, wealth, longevity.
The traditional use of Feng Shui goes back to honoring one's ancestors.
And where the dead lie is of more importance to the Chinese, more so than where they live, in a sense, because if the ancestors are not placed properly, then no matter what you do in your life, it makes no difference because the ancestors are not happy. The bones, the remains of the ancestors are not happy. And so for the majority of Chinese in traditional China, the emphasis is really on first taking care of the ancestors, taking care of the gravesite, and making sure that it's in a right location.
An excellent example is the Lin Yi Chung Cemetery in Ma Noa. Lin Yi Chung, or Lum Ching, is the grand ancestor of this cemetery. He was also one of its founders.
Mr. Lum Ching was himself a geomancer, was a practitioner of feng shui, which he learned in China. In the early 1850s, he came up to Manoa Valley and found that this area, known as Akaka Peak, was one of the most beautiful in the valley, as it stood out like an armchair in the valley, and determined that this was of ideal feng shui. The Chinese like this spot because it is a hill, and the objective is for the Chinese families to bury their loved ones on the hill, facing the ocean, the phoenix, with the tortoise at their back, the dragon to their east, and the tiger to the west. And the shape of the Chinese graves, the traditional Chinese graves, as we can see, are in an omega, or an armchair shape, exactly as this valley and the location of the Lin Yi Chung Cemetery. In other words, the tomb sits in the very middle of the armchair. And you can see the sun, or the flaming pearl, right above this headstone. Feng Shui follows the capturing of the lines of qi, or the energy which flows throughout the earth. And one of the most important things about Feng Shui is water. Water is the essence of qi. Running water brings good fortune. Feng Shui is very much practiced all over the world. wherever there are Chinese, you will find practice of feng shui, and more so even with Western cultures who are adopting more and more the philosophy, the medicine, the ideas of the ancient Chinese culture.
For more than 20 years, Professor Thomas Lin Yun, supreme leader of the Black Sect Tantric Buddhism, has been bringing his teachings and feng shui theories to people throughout the Western world.
Feng Shui exists since there's a human being. So no matter you believe or not, and Feng Shui exists itself. Our lives affected by many different factors, and Feng Shui is one of them.
In recent years, the Western world has embraced this ancient philosophy in a way that has become synonymous with placement of home, furniture, and office.
The elements included in the Feng Shui would be the qi of the land, and the shape of the lot, the shape of the house, and the floor plans, and many interior and exterior factors. Position of the stove, position of the bed, and position of the staircase. Any water or roads around your house, the trees, the color, so forth.
The idea is to arrange buildings, rooms, and furniture so that they are in maximum harmony with nature to better achieve happiness, good luck, and prosperity. We asked Professor Lin to comment on the layout of the Office of Hawaii Public Television's Executive Director and General Manager.
From the perspective of Black Sect Tantric Buddhist Feng Shui theories, Professor Lin said directions are irrelevant. The most important thing is you look where the door is. This office, the desk in a very good position, because desk should be facing the door. You can see the door, and you can have the widest scope of the vision of the room. Therefore, this situation of the desk is very good, and also because of the setting, gives him the control over the door. Then symbolically, he has the control over his administration. The weakness of this room is the sharp corner of this desk towards the door. This sharp corner would affect the person who owns this office physically and mentally. Physically, along the midline, would be afflicted with some kind of illness. And mentally, he gets startled or feels something sharp and towards hit him. Therefore, if this desk, the corner, if it's a round shape, then would be the best. Otherwise, you can do a transcendental cure is to use a pot of plants and cover the sharp corner. That will soften and alleviate this sharpness.
For many modern users of feng shui, achieving prosperity seems to be a primary motivation.
Of course, everybody wants to make money, but what does money get you? And many times Chinese look at it as it has to be used well. Money has to be used well, and with many bringing benefits not only to oneself but to others, and to use it for good use so that life itself becomes meaningful.
Professor Lin agrees.
The money is like water. Water can float the boat and also can capsize the boat. Well, if you use it correctly and you make your boat sailing smoothly.
Others use it for scientific purposes.
Professor Lin's teaching, including feng shui and other aspects of the Oriental philosophies. And the main thing is, for instance, he mentioned about yin-yang theory, application of yin-yang theory to the feng shui. And I was able to use that, the yin-yang theory, to the study of plant diseases. Moving is yang, non-moving is yin. So infectious means moving, so that's yang. Non-infectious, so yin.
Using the yin-yang theory, Dr. Ko proved that the banana leaf scorch disease was both non-infectious and airborne.
Feng Shui is very useful to human being because it teaches us to live peacefully and in balance with the environment, and rather than destroy the environment.
Feng Shui, an ancient Chinese philosophy, science, and tradition.
The Chinese ideal is to know the past, one can continue on into the future. To study the past, one can create a stronger future.
Moana Matautia comes from a long line of Samoan herbal healers.
My grandma and my mom was teaching me how to do it. When I was small, about 9 years old, I helped them to go and pick up the leaves, and then they teach me how to do it. Massage and make the medicine for them.
Matautia, with the assistance of Vita Tanielu, Samoan community liaison, explains how and why she uses these particular plants.
The nonu is good for the leaves, is good for massage the people when they have a headache, and also the bodies. Just get the leaves and put some oil on and massage like this, or massage like this, that's all. And this is the flowers from the nonu. When your eyes have some little thing just like boiling, then you use this kind of flowers. Just make like this. You put down your eyes like this and put massage like this, make it like that. The juice from this, then you drink that. That's used for your high blood pressure, diabetes. This lau auta or lau manga, that's the two names of this kind of leaves. This used for the stomach ache. If you want to, your stomach not open yet, then you can use this.
Constipation,
Yeah.
or constipation. So this is a sort of Metamucil kind of thing.
Yeah. This one, hibiscus, is we calling Samoan hibiscus. They use the leaves for medicine, whatever we call that tuaula. And flowers, use it to make together with the leaves and give it to the patient for drink.
What illness? What sickness?
That's sickness for the fever sama-sama.
Oh, yellow fever.
Yellow fever. These are the cucuy they we call lama in Samoan language. The meat inside, the white meat. Somebody have a sore all of the body. Then use this for the oil, for what? For soap. The fufuicina is the what? You use for the mumu, and also the what? Boil, whatever you can use it for the baby about 2 or 3 months. When she get fever, you can use this from the leaves. Get a juice and give to the baby.
Let the baby drink.
Yeah.
I see.
Even big people, they used
Adults.
to. Yeah. These are the tea leaves. Lauti.
Lauti.
Lauti. These are lauti. This is used for four. That's massage. That means for four. Massage like this your body, and whatever you hurt, all your body hurt can move. You can use this and make all for four, all from your head down to your toes. Now I'm massaging Victor's back with the nonu leaves.
Herbal healing has been in use long before Western medicine was introduced into Samoa. It's a tradition Matautia has passed on to the next generation.
Yes, I already teach my niece, my brother's daughter, I already teaching them to make all the medicine like this.
Originally, the Japanese tea house was a bastion for men. It was a place to host business associates. The only women allowed to attend were geishas, who served food, played music, and entertained the guests. The congenial tea house is now a place where family and friends gather to celebrate life's special moments.
It's like a banquet facility. It's still where people have gatherings of small party or large parties for birthdays, anniversaries, graduations.
Natsunoya Tea House, one of the last tea houses in the state, is nestled in the Eleva Heights area of Honolulu. It was opened in 1921 by Shoji Fujiwara. Although there have been additions and renovations, much of the original structure and many of its features are still in place. The elder Fujiwara brought a master carpenter from Japan to carve these intricate wood panels. Food is still transported from the kitchen to the second floor by a dumbwaiter. And there's traditional floor seating. The Fujiwaras and their staff work hard to maintain the ambiance of a traditional tea house.
Our waitress, they dress in kimonos. We have a lot of artwork that portrays the Japanese arts. Our food is Japanese cuisine. The tea house setting, sitting on the ground.
3 generations of Fujiwaras continue to operate the tea house: a mother, sisters, nieces, and nephews.
And a bunch of uncles and aunties. So it's more or less it's all in the family.
Not only is Natsunoya run by generations of Fujiwaras, it continues to attract generations of guests.
Grandfather make party, then come to, with the family. Then grandfather passed away. After that, the son come, and the son grew up. Then he came with the children. The children grow up. Then they all continue to come, and we appreciate very much.
Another tradition still available is the ikazukuri, a symbol of good luck. The intricate display, which often includes cranes and turtles, is sculpted out of vegetables.
Tsuru, crown, kame, turtle is a long life. So we make Japanese traditional tsuru kame is a pray long life.
If the tea house were a plant, it would be on the endangered species list. Lawrence Fujiwara, however, plans to keep this tradition alive well into the next millennium.
Our main thrust is that we are teaching the children about their traditions and their heritage, being as all the children that come here are Jewish children. And our function as a Jewish organization in Hawaii is basically to do Jewish consciousness raising. Because in America, the melting pot tends to be the norm, where everybody sort of blends in as one, which is wonderful. It's, we all have to live together peacefully. On the other hand, it's also important to know who you are and where you come from, especially for children, because this has to be the foundation for their lives, and this is the time when it's set. So we try to do it through different activities, make it positive, happy.
Interspersed with performances and serious lessons, there is always time to play.
You won! Very good. Go on there.
On this particular day, the youngsters learn about Shabbat.
It's very traditional. You'll see this in Jewish homes around the world, whatever country, whatever language Jews are speaking. Friday night, we celebrate the Shabbos, or Shabbat, if you want the alternate pronunciation, which is the Jewish Sabbath. And that is to commemorate the fact that God created the world in 6 days and rested on the 7th. We rest on the 7th day as well. However, the Jewish calendar begins with the evening before. So Saturday actually begins with Friday night. One of the things we do to celebrate the Sabbath is to have a festive meal. One of the obvious features of this festive meal is the eating of the challah bread. And there are always 2. It's part of our tradition. So we make the bread, and this is also in remembrance of the bread that was baked in the temple, the holy temple that existed in Jerusalem and was destroyed 2,000 years ago. This is in commemoration of the bread that was baked by the priests and eaten weekly on the Sabbath.
Our second challah for you. We're gonna have a regular bakery here.
What the children are doing is they are reenacting a typical Shabbos dinner. And that is where the mother and the girls light candles.
1, 2, 3.
The father, so to speak, usually is the one that goes off to synagogue, does the praying, and comes home. And then he blesses the wine, which is called the kiddush. which is means the sanctification over the wine, makes a blessing, everybody takes a little sip, and then we have a festive meal. And that usually begins with a challah.
Amen. And everybody's going to get a piece of challah. Don't talk out until
The
you
Sabbath
get your
day
piece,
is supposed to be a day of holiness that is divided and separated from the weekday activities. And that's kind of the atmosphere that we are trying to recreate in microcosm. 613 commandments were given to Moses at Sinai 3,309 years ago. And from then until now, that tradition has remained unbroken by the Jewish people. So it's a promise that we made to God to keep those commandments, and that is my responsibility and my privilege to pass that on.
Learning about one's heritage is a lesson the students take to heart.
It's very important to me because if we learn it and we study it, then we can have a feel for it. And even more, we can pass it on to, like my sister said, to the next generation, and they can also have a feel for it and continue going on just as it had for 2,000 years.
It's important because I will always be Jewish, and these are things that I need to follow and do for the rest of my life.
I was never from the start, and now I suffer from a broken.
This oven was built in 1936 by one of our neighbors, Anton Feld.
These brick ovens, called fornos, used to be a standard feature in the backyards of many Portuguese families. For years, the smell of his mother's baking bread wafted through this Waialua neighborhood.
The smell goes out into the road here, and people pass by and wow. A lot of times she never sells her white bread. She just gives them out to people.
Although the Vieira family no longer lives here, the forno always brings back fond memories of the family's matriarch, Mary Vieira.
And all the holidays when we were young, our cooking was all out here. This was the main place where everything was cooked in here. And that was good. She used to make white bread at least twice a week. And that was the best part about it. As soon as it comes out, you just slice it. There goes your butter.
For the Vieiras, bread making is a family affair. Hercules Vieira and his nephew, Roger Jr., start by making dough for the pandus, or sweetbread, using a recipe passed down from generation to generation.
That's why I want to buy a big mixer.
Yep.
To me, the tradition is doing it the authentic way, with the oven, with hand mixing.
Tradition is, I don't think it should be really an ethnic thing or whatever. I think it's something that you learn from someone special, be it a friend, a grandparent, and I think for us, that's what it is. Spending quality time, that's tradition.
Deborah's father, Roger Sr., is busy firing up the forno.
When you put your firewood and you burn it like now it's burning, you gotta make sure by the time you take it out, the bricks are all white in there. That's the heat in there. You want the fire to get all around the side so everything be nice and hot, so just move it around. Real hot around the side. In the back, okay. You take everything out. Everything going down in here. Then you have this mop. You take in a bucket and wash it, and you clean the place real clean. And you keep watching. Everything is still white in there. Take your flour and test it. To test the oven, you have flour, and you throw the flour in. And depends how fast the thing brown, that you know the temperature. If you burn it too fast, well, it's too hot. Then you take the mop, and we mop it down to cool it off a little. Then you throw your flour back. If the temperature, the flour burns just right, then you put your bread in already. If the temperature is not enough, you close the oven with this so the heat can go back in so you get your temperature back.
Back in the Vieira home, the first rising is complete and the dough is ready to be placed in the bread pans. Now, a third generation of Vieiras, Roger Jr.'s son, Rory, steps in to learn the family tradition.
Shape it a little bit more.
Okay, so put it inside here, Grandpa.
Right. There you go, right there.
Okay.
Perfect.
Once a second rising is complete, the dough is ready for the forno.
Go slow right here.
Now I ask you, is there anything better than a loaf of Portuguese sweetbread fresh out of the oven?
Definitely, there's 2 loaves of homemade sweetbread, better than 1.
You know, the Portuguese slice. That's good. Nice and light.
Tradition means all the things in a culture that have been passed down from generation to generation and that are used to keep it alive.
Tradition is very important. Whatever culture you're from, I believe that you have to maintain and perpetuate that culture, that tradition. It's your past, it's your present, it's your future.
Tradition!